Happy holidays, guys. So today we have a very merry episode brought to you by ShopTagger, my latest shopping buddy. And I have a very special friend on the show today that's got glowing skin and killer calves to prove that she lives the life that she preaches. She's been featured on Poosh. She's been featured on Pop Sugar, in Vogue. She's a holistic nutritionist and a chef to the stars. Please welcome my pal, Shauna Faulisi.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm so good. Thanks for having me.
I'm so excited to have you. This is the first time you're doing the Adulting podcast, because you've done No Filter before.
I have.
And so we're celebrating the launch of our Hack Your Hangover Holiday Guide.
Woo-hoo.
So we're drinking virgin versions of my Fillin' Fizzy and Festive AF cocktail from the Hack Your Hangover Holiday Survival Guide. We're doing virgin versions because it's a little early in the day to be getting turned and you just like worked out. But we have a fun episode. Shauna's going to teach us how to beat some bloat, how to kick those blood sugar spikes, and how to slay stress this holiday season. And she has a ton of tips that are featured in the Hack Your Hangover Holiday Survival Guide, which is available for free right now at theadultingpodcast.com, guys. So check it out. We worked very, very hard on it. And Shauna has some really great tips. She took like 5 pages out of the guide, but I was like, take them all because these are great tips. So why don't we just dive into it, Shauna? Let's start with, I feel like this is a really crazy season for a lot of people. They have money worries, they have food worries, and then I think because there is so much stress this time of year, people just automatically just eat extra cookies or drink, 2 extra glasses of wine, and then they end up regretting it and then feeling all gross. And then we get into this January 1st, new year, new me phase, and then we buy all of this shit and we go to the gym and then we spend all this money that we really don't need to be spending. And then it all crashes come, the second week of January. Mm-hmm. So I want to help people kind of prevent that by like starting new year, new me now, and just not even having to wait for a new year. Just be like, I choose to be like a better person today. So what is the number one concern that like your clients come to you with during the holiday season?
So a lot of times my clients, they're concerned about getting sick, and they're also very concerned about what holidays are going to look like for them and what that means for their quote unquote diet and their lifestyle. And we have this misconception about food these days where we feel like the food that we eat really defines us as a person somehow. Like all of a sudden a cookie means that we are making bad choices, and that means we make bad choices and that we are unhealthy all the time, instead of being like, this is a conscious choice that I'm making right now. So a lot of it is mindset, and my clients and I really work through this throughout the whole year because the holidays are really meant to be enjoyed. We're supposed to have fun, enjoy ourselves, and revisit the food that made us happy when we were younger. And family dynamics and stressful travel that you can't prepare for. You don't really know what's coming your way with delays and such. That's out of your control. And when we have control over our thoughts around the foods that we can eat at home, it really allows for space to kind of go with the flow in other areas.
I think one of the biggest mindset hacks that I have around this season is like, I think we feel so restrictive, and we talk about it in the guide where like you say like, wake up in the morning, eat something, eat breakfast, have a snack before you go into like the dinners or whatever it is. And I remember before, like I would wake up, I wouldn't eat anything for the entire day because I'm like, no, I'm just gonna I already know I'm gonna go off the rails at dinner. But it's like, but when you wake up and you have something like your glow smoothie, which has like protein and fats and all of that stuff, like when you have a balanced diet and like your hormones are in check, then you don't go into the dinners or anything like ravenous and be like, I need to eat everything. And then you can have one bite and be satiated and feel fine. Like I'm on a 30-day sugar detox right now. And so this is the end of my 3rd week, start of my 4th week. And so I went through Thanksgiving without any sugar.
Wow.
And so I went into it, but I was like, you know what, if something like my mom made, she was like so excited. She made like all these like gluten-free vegan desserts. Cause like I don't do gluten or dairy. My brother can't have gluten, dairy, or eggs. And then my stepsister is vegan right now. So she's
so
like,
everyone had a salad.
So everyone had their own salad. So she's like, so she made sure that was all accommodated in the dishes that she made. And so I was like, but I'm not doing sugar this year. And I was like, but I have to try, like she worked so hard on these desserts that I have to try them. And so I had like a bite of this cranberry sauce that she made, and I had a bite of this sweet potato pie that she made. And like, it was fine for me. Like I didn't feel the desire to have a whole slice or whatever. I was like, I really want to stick to this. I feel good. My body feels good. But I also just wasn't like super restrictive as like, I cannot have any sugar today. Cause then I probably would have, found a way to just like have an extra shot of vodka and then be like, self-care Sunday on Thanksgiving.
And that's where the binging really comes in, when we're restricting throughout our whole lives. And then one day we just can't even take it anymore, and we binge eat. And I did that when I was living in New York City in my early 20s. I would starve myself all day. I would end up going to the bodega and getting a huge thing of Ben & Jerry's, binge eating it at night, waking up to the wrappers on the floor, feeling so shameful, and then being like, oh, I can't eat again because I'm going to be good today, quote unquote good. And it was just this vicious cycle and this shame that I lived in all the time. And when we can give ourselves permission to enjoy our life and tap back into the sensory experience of food and supporting our emotions and our lifestyle, then we can ebb and flow out of different food groups all the time without having to think about it and really just tapping in.
Yeah, I feel like but it's the culture that we live in that's so focused on like, we can't have this or we have to, like, it's like it's all or nothing. It's so black and white that like, if you're keto, then like you can't ever have carbs. And if you're paleo, then you can't ever have sugar. And it's like, but that's not how life works. And I feel like people get into these categories where they're like, I have to be this, or I have to be that, or I have to be aligned with this diet or this lifestyle. And like, this is just what my life is.
Yep.
So I think one of the biggest concerns that a lot of our listeners have is like feeling bloated around the holidays, either because they eat too much or they eat things that maybe they have food intolerances. And we even did a great episode this season with Dr. Will Cole about food allergies, food intolerances, and food sensitivities. So if people are struggling with either of those three and want to know which category they fall in, they can go listen to that. But what is your go-to kind of hack for dealing with bloating around that? Like, what causes it and what can we do to like not?
Sure. So obviously, like you said, eating foods that we're not normally used to eating will definitely cause bloat. And everyone's kind of degree on the tolerance is going to be different. So I have clients who, if they have too many vegetables, they bloat. And then I have clients who are completely plant-based, and when they have too much salt and sugar, they bloat. Whereas I can have a lot of sugar and eat a lot of vegetables, but it's the carbs that really do it for me, that come from just the refined carbs. So when I start having desserts and processed foods, that's when my bloat really sets in. So
how do we know which of those, like, is there like a test we can do, or for those of us that can't afford to do like actual lab testing, are there like at-home tests that we can? Yeah.
So I am really not a fan of doing lab tests unless they're absolutely necessary. And your doctor's like, we have to do this. When I got into this business, I met a doctor who was more conventional, and I was explaining to him the industry I was getting into. He's like, I know this kind of industry you're getting into because it's very opposite of like the traditional Western thinking. So that was just its own thing. But he said to me, treat your clients like I treat my patients, do no harm. And I was trying to get him to do all these tests that I was reading about in a book. And he's like, by the time you're done with these tests, you're going to have spent so much money, and you might not have any answers. And he's like, this is, to me, is doing harm to put yourself through these tests. So I'm all about doing an elimination diet, and sometimes an elimination diet is a bit too intense. And you know what? It really comes down to doing your own biofeedback. So an elimination diet would be a great example of saying, okay, let's cut out grains for 30 days. And then after 30 days, reintroduce them back in and be like, oh, wow, these are the symptoms I was experiencing, and I haven't even been feeling them. So working with a coach and taking inventory of how you're feeling every day when you're making these changes will make a really big difference, because life happens and you're like, oh, I'm being good. And then I see my clients, we'd keep a food log when we first start, and them being good, maybe like they're eating quote unquote what they feel is perfectly, but they're not sleeping well, or they're not having enough water. Yeah. So all of these things play into our bloat. So you to prevent bloat, we want to keep our water intake up. We want to keep our processed foods down. You may or may not be salt sensitive, and you want to move your body. And I'm purposely not saying exercise because I think that goes into a whole other spiral. And movement can be walking. Walking is extremely powerful, engages the lymphatic system, and you could really actually depuff from walking.
Yeah.
So it's actually quite simple.
I think people think that it has to be like a big lifestyle haul. I know for me, like, I mean, this was like between 10 and 8, 9 years ago that I would like read these books and I would be like, oh my God. And I would be like, I have to like do this whole lifestyle shift. And now it's just like, no, it's about taking like little steps every day. Like maybe today I'll go for like a 30-minute walk. And I love doing that. Like today I went to, one of our mutual friends was hosting a holiday market, and it was like, a 15-minute walk from where I live, or a 5-minute Uber ride. And so I was, I wanted to be time efficient. So I took the Uber over there, but then I walked it back and I was like, look, and I just got in like a nice little 15, 20, it turned into like a 20-minute walk because I went the wrong way. And then I was like, oops, I have to turn around and go the right way. Cause it's like, why are the streets going up and not down?
But that's like, you probably did about a mile and a half.
Yeah.
And those things add up.
Yeah.
And I notice it the most when I go to New York and I come back and I'm like, wow, like I look amazing.
Yeah.
And all I'm doing is walking. Yeah.
It's just movement, really.
It's just movement.
Because we're so stuck to be like, we're in a car, or we're, commuting somewhere, or we're at a desk, or we're hunched over on our phones. And it's like, it's just...
Yep. And the holistic view of movement and the feeling, when we start to move our body and just make a conscious effort, all of a sudden we become more centered in our body and have an awareness in our body. So you're able to give that biofeedback to yourself and think a little bit differently and deeper on what's happening inside your body at that moment. You can't do it if you're not moving in some way because you become very disconnected. Movement, I say, is a way to shake things out of your body. Things live inside of us, become very stagnant emotionally, and movement will help you tap back into that.
All right, guys, we are going to take a very quick break to talk about one of our pals, ShopTagger. It is like the holiday hero, okay? So part of adulting is being responsible and proactive and being smart about your spending. That's why ShopTagger, spelled ShopTagger, is a must-have app for your phone and your computer. I have it on both, especially for holiday shopping. It enables you to save from 4,000 online stores to one place and then get notified the moment the items that you're looking for go on sale. I'm talking shops like Topshop, Ulta, Zara, like 3 of my favorite stores. My entire outfit right now is from Zara, and guess what? I saved on it because I shop with ShopTagger. I feel like the worst part about online shopping sometimes is keeping track of all of the paper coupons that you have, or having to search multiple sites to find the best deal. Well, you don't have to do that anymore with ShopTagger. You save so much time and money, and let's be real, this time of year, saving both is definitely on the top of our list of priorities. It also scans the web for coupon codes at the checkout and automatically applies them to your purchase. Like, look, it's doing all the work for you, you guys. We're doing all of our holiday shopping with ShopTagger this year. Like, that's it. It's done. To get ShopTagger for free and to be automatically entered to win $1,000, that's $1,000 for free, click the link in today's show notes, okay? Go right now, you guys. That's $1,000 that you don't even have to spend on anybody else this holiday season. You can spend it on yourself. So go and check out ShopTagger. It's on my computer. It's on my phone. I'm obsessed. Click that link in the show notes, and you'll also get a chance to win $1,000. What could be better? Go right now. Love me some ShopTagger. So how do you prepare? Because like now we're getting into the season where everyone's having their office holiday parties, or their families starting to have little get-togethers. Or for those of us that work in like the wellness world or the influencer community, we have all of these events that we have to go to and take all these cute little pictures and like having a blast. What do you do to prepare yourself for when you go into those types of events? Like the week of, how early do you start, and like what does your morning of look like?
Yeah, I am really big into sleep, and I have a very slow morning. I often lay in bed for like a half hour and just like kind of think about what's ahead of me and just tap into what my body's doing. And then I do everything the same. So I always have water before I caffeinate. I'm a big coffee person, and I continue to drink water. I'll make a glow smoothie, or lately I've been making eggs just because it's cold and I just want that like heat.
Yeah.
And I go about my day and I do all of that, and I bring snacks. So snacks right now is what really helps me. So I'll pack some nuts, or I'll bring some low carb, low sugar bars with me, which obviously is not ideal, but right now it's a very busy time. So that's really important to understand, like, what your schedule is like. And sure, it's not ideal, and we can find a million studies or a million books that say it's quote unquote bad, but what's going to work for you right now? So I bring snacks, and often, so I'm very empathic. So a lot of times I get to these events and it's just a lot of energy at once.
Oh yeah.
So I often will go to the bathroom and just recenter. Like, I'll take in the environment, and then I'll go and I'll look in the mirror and just like give myself whatever I need. And sometimes it's like a few deep breaths, or sometimes I'm like, I want to just like feel fun and playful, and I'll start taking mirror selfies. Like, whatever it is I'm feeling, I do it privately, and the bathroom is my spot.
Yeah. No, the bathroom's great because like you get to get away from everybody, and then like you don't have to like, because even when you're at the party and you like maybe stand like in a corner, or you kind of back out of the immediate group that's in front of you, like then people are like, well, what's wrong with you? What are you doing?
Yeah, there's no explanation when you're in the bathroom. No one's going to bother you.
No, they're like, okay, you're doing your business. I'll give you 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's a line and you only get 5 minutes, but like you can take that 5 minutes and like really like just breathe. Like for me, I'm just like, okay, what do I need right now? Do I need to go for a little walk? Do I need a glass of water? Do I, want a bite of a crunch? That's one thing you talk about in the guide too, is like the snacking. Yeah. Can you explain that?
Yeah. So we've really lost sight of like this sensory experience when it comes to eating and dining, and the physicality that comes with food. So instead of looking at things as like nutritious or good or bad, which obviously nutrients are very important, especially when we're trying to reach certain goals, but we have these really deep primal cravings inside of us and these actions. So when it comes to snacking, there's two types of snackers. There's the crunchy snacker, and then like the soothing scooping snacker. So often when I'm in a crunchy snack mode, and you can ebb and flow in between both, when I'm like wanting popcorn or pretzels or that constant hand to mouth movement, it signifies anxiety, pressure, stress. And that crunching really has this biological response when we clench our jaw. So when we're actually stressed, sometimes we clench our jaw. And my Long Island accent is tough for me to say that sometimes. And and when we clench, and often people who are very stressful and clench, like they get TMJ. So it's you can't help that sensation. So sometimes when we're clenching, we're working through that stress in a primal way that we're not even realizing. And then on the other end of it, it's the sucking and the scooping. So if you're like an ice cream person or pudding or cereal, that often means you're looking for some nourishment, some love. Maybe you need a hug. It's that very primal sucking motion of the mouth that makes us feel like we're safe. So oftentimes
when I go on a hot date.
Exactly. So if you're feeling like that crunchiness feeling, quite often you really need a hug, or maybe some foods that are going to help with the soothing and the nourishing, and vice versa. So really tapping into what your cravings are and deconstructing them by what that motion means will help give insight to your emotional state at that moment.
And then when you want to suck dick, it's because you're looking for nourishment.
It really actually is.
Okay, so let's segue into sugar, because I feel like that's the other big, aside from, sleeping with the naughty elves, it's like all the sugar is like what we're going to find at the holiday party, whether it's in the desserts or whether it's in the recipes or it's in the cocktails. How do we be mindful of sugar intake?
Why did this podcast all of a sudden get really sexual?
It always gets sexual.
Great. I'm all about it, guys. Sex is a great way to self-express. I'm a big fan.
It is. We did a great episode with Dr. V on that.
Oh, she's amazing.
All the sexually express yourself.
I'm like,
start your morning with a meditation and masturbation.
Yeah. I can't. I get like too relaxed, and I can't like get my work done.
Before bed.
Can you repeat the question?
Sugar. How do we combat sugar?
So sugar cravings are tough if you're in a cycle of having sugar and carbs. So really it's setting yourself up for the holidays, which is really setting yourself up all year round to keep your insulin levels stable.
Right.
So having a breakfast with fat, fat, protein, and fiber are going to help regulate your blood sugar levels and keeping that formula through your day. So, that could be a salad with protein and an avocado and extra virgin olive oil, and then similar thing for dinner. So always just like making sure that's happening while you're drinking water, because hydration is going to really help keep your cravings very minimal. And sleep. Again, sleep is very underestimated. When we are lacking sleep, the hormone ghrelin raises. So if you ever feel like you're ravenous when you're tired and you didn't have enough sleep before, you actually are, because your hormones are imbalanced. So sleeping, water, and balancing your meals are going to keep your sugar, your insulin levels stable throughout the day. So like you were saying before, it sounds like so wooey when you're in the middle of a sugar cleanse and then you're having some dessert and you're like, I really didn't want it. You actually really don't want it.
Yeah.
Like the bite or two is
enough.
Like plenty. And it's really hard to explain that until you experience it yourself, because if you have never experienced it and you're like, what are these people talking about? That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But it's actually really true. So if you can just make some small changes and just work your way there, you'll naturally curb your sugar craving. And also, like, if you want some sugar, go for it, and then notice how you feel. So the brain fog the next day, the bloat, the breakouts. So once you start to really notice what it is that is setting your body off, you tend to not want it, because you're like, I feel so much better when I'm avoiding this food.
And you don't realize like how your body reacts when you're in that constant state of like just eating. Like I found the reason I decided to do my sugar cleanse is because like I would be like, oh, I'm in the mood for like ice cream. Oh, self-care Sunday. Like I'm just going to have, some ice cream, or I'm going to have some cookies.
Somehow self-care, the idea of self-care is turned into like the idea of like indulging whenever you feel like it. Yeah. And there's a big difference.
And then I was doing that like 3 times a day. And I'm like, why am I having so many sweets? I deserve it. It's been a long week. And I'm like, no, it's been like 8 weeks of this. Like it's been 8 weeks of a long week of like cookies. And I'm like, okay, like and then my body just wasn't feeling well. But it was crazy because I remember when I first started, like my body started to go through like a change and like I couldn't even sleep for like the first couple of days. And then eventually like my body settled down. And
it's difficult at first. I always warn clients if they're doing a sugar cleanse, like this is going to be rough.
Yeah.
Your body's not used to burning different types of fuel. So that changeover into burning fat for fuel is kind of gnarly if you're not used to it. Even for me, whenever I'm traveling and I come back, it takes me a good month to finally feel like I'm back in control. Yeah. Because the hormones, like you can do a lot to balance your hormones, but when they're not balanced, they will control you.
Yeah. Gotta watch your hormones. So another thing that affects our hormones is the stress. And I feel like there's stress around money, stress around having to do your Christmas shopping, like get all the things checked off the list. Mm-hmm. And then the travels that we have to do. So how do you help your clients combat all of the stress that we have to face this season?
So having a plan, for example, I'm going to New York. I actually really enjoy travel. I just stress getting there on time now. Yeah. But once I'm there, like things are out of my control and I just make it fun. Like I like to people watch the person next to me making a scene about something they can't get or whatever it is. I make it amusing so I don't absorb the stress. There's so much energy around you in airports or trains, wherever you're traveling. I mean, it's so hard not to absorb it. But if you can actually take yourself out of it and be like, this is hilarious. Yeah. It's a really fun mind fuck and game to play with yourself. And if you can find a travel companion who sees things like that, your travels will be really fucking fun. Yeah. So not taking the travel part so seriously. Also, don't take your family so seriously. Like this is something I've learned. Like my dad's from Queens. He curses. He's loud. We all like are yelling across the house to each other. Like this is just our dynamic. And when I'm with my whole immediate family, it takes like a whole day to actually finish a story. We all interrupt each other, but we do it with love. We get so excited. And I used to just be like, oh my God, like this is so dysfunctional. I'm just like, this is my family and they're fucking so amazing. Like there's so much love here. Yeah. So not taking that so seriously. I love that. Yeah. And bring some snacks with you if you're feeling hungry, but don't go overboard. I used to pack like a whole extra bag and I was just like so obsessed with being perfect. And now I just like let it go. And honestly, my choices with food are so much better. And I don't feel bad when I want to have some bread when I'm in New York or some pasta. I go for it because it's a treat.
Yeah.
What else? What other stress? So there's the food. Also with the food, make sure you're having your breakfast and setting yourself up so you're not feeling stressed when you are getting to your event.
Which is the importance of packing snacks, like having nuts, having a bar with you. Like there are cleaner options. Like you don't have to go for like the really shitty stuff, but like there are options out there.
Yeah, and if you're at a part of your journey where you are still stressing about food on the table, 100% have your snack. Maybe you bring a dish and maybe it's like a big salad or something that you love, maybe some crudité, and fill up on that before the dinner hits, so you're not having as much of the things that you're stressing about. Unless you want to have all of that, then go for it. But just like, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
It's the holidays.
Yeah.
And
I think we forget to enjoy it and have fun.
I know. Like, we need to enjoy our lives.
Yeah.
It's not that serious.
No, it's really not. I know one of the tips that I included in the guide too with Dr. V, and this is something we did 2 holiday episodes with her last year and the year before on No Filter and then Adulting. And her golden rule is like, when it comes to your family, or when it comes to, primarily she was speaking about like conversations at the dinner table that may be like overwhelming or challenging, whether they're political or they're asking about like when you're getting married. She's like, do you want to be right or do you want to be happy? And like, that's what you have to remember. And I feel like so many times we feel so out of control that we want to be in control in the conversation and prove our point.
Yeah.
When it's like, your family doesn't give a shit about your point. Like, they really don't. They just care about either giving you shit or proving their point. And like, you can just easily be happy and laugh about it.
Yeah, especially if you're a people pleaser. I'm such a people pleaser, and I used to come home and my family would be like, when are you moving back to New York? When are you moving back to New York? And I would like just be like, create this whole, I'm really happy, maybe like one day, I don't know. And then one day I came home and I was like, we're not going to ask this question anymore. Like, I set the boundary.
Boundaries, yeah.
But I am moving back to New York.
Soon?
Like in like 2 months.
Wow.
I know.
That's exciting.
You heard it here first.
Ooh. No, it's funny. I called my mom the other night. I was like, we need to do our family Christmas card. I go, but this year we're gonna have fun with it. I was like, we're just gonna like, we're like going all out on our holiday card this year, but we're having fun to where we're shooting it tomorrow actually. We're each gonna like do our own thing. Like, my mom's so into yoga and loves her cats, so she's gonna be posing, do it in her yoga clothes, doing yoga with her cats.
That's cute.
And then my stepbrother's gonna be like in his football outfit, and then my stepmom's gonna be in like her 49ers gear, and then I'm gonna be like super dressed up with a ring light and a martini, and like we're just gonna like just really parody up ourselves and kind of like just have like a fun take on
that.
On
is
our
so
Christmas
cute
card.
I mean, that actually is the way Christmas cards should be. Like,
They
we
should
put
be.
together this perfect photo and shit's not perfect.
No, shit's not perfect. And like, this is us. And I told her, I go, we need to just like be us and like do a Christmas card that shows us like who we are.
Wait, if I did a Christmas card right now, I think it would be me sleeping. Like, I'm fucking tired.
No, and then my brother Elijah, he's like so like doesn't want to do anything and is like so too cool for everything. So I was like, we're just gonna have him stand in the background and we're gonna decorate him with Christmas lights, and like, because he's so like non-conforming, I was like, we're just gonna have fun
like
with
pouting.
it. Yeah,
it's funny.
And we're doing like a video version. Like, we're going all out this year. I'm so excited.
Wait, I can't
but like
wait.
but it's like this is the time to have fun and to like really like enjoy yourself and not get so caught up in like the minutia and the food and the drinking and all of that stuff.
Like, you're actually off. You probably think all year how much you'd love to like go home and relax. Like, now is the time. Like, now is your chance. Take advantage.
Yeah. And there are little tips, and like, look, I put together a whole guide. It's like 40 pages, but like at the same time, like, you don't have to do every single step perfectly.
No.
Like, the reason there's so much information in there is because it's like, take as you will.
Yep.
Use it the way you need to,
They're just tools. Like, try different tools, and then maybe some work, maybe some don't. I also really I should add to just keeping yourself centered, try to get things that you're thinking about off of your to-do list before the holidays. So you're not
Yeah.
stressing about all of that. A lot of times our stress just comes from extenuating circumstances anyway. It's not even what's in the present moment. So get the shit done that's like you can't stop thinking about, it's bothering you. Like be really honest with yourself, stop procrastinating and get it done, and then like check out.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah. Thank you so much,
Thank
Shauna
you.
Faulisi.
My
Where can
pleasure.
people follow and keep up with you? And
At Shauna Faulisi on Instagram, soulwellnessmethod.com, and those are the places.
I love it. All right, guys, get more tips from Shauna Faulisi and from Mua in our Hack Your Hangover Holiday Survival Guide, which is available for free now at theadultingpodcast.com/shop. So many great tips to help you slay this holiday season. And don't forget to check out ShopTagger. Seriously, guys, if you're on a budget this year or you just want to stick to your budget this year, you don't want to miss it. Click the link in the description below. And until next time, Abigail and I are going to be busy. #adulting.